back to Fantasy Baseball Picks and Bets, presented by PrizePicks.com here on the Mayo Media Network. Head over to PrizePicks.com, use the code MLB when you sign up to get started over there so you can start betting on those fantasy players, totals, overs, unders, parlay them together, win a whole bunch of money, or do the smart thing and just try and double your money every day. It stacks up quick. When you try and hit a 18 parlay like I do sometimes, the $1 million doesn't always work out. Play it smart. Play at PrizePicks.com with the code MLB. A lot of fun over there. I really like that site. We're here on the Mayo Media Network. You know what to do. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, check out all the great content coming out the rest of the MLB season. It's the first slate after the All-Star break. Really enjoyed the Home Run Derby. The game was okay too, but Home Run Derby was a lot of fun, especially round one versus Soto and Ohtani. Liked that a lot. And then, of course, Pete Alonso looked like an animal who absolutely knew what he was doing and knew he was going to win the Home Run Derby the entire time. Second year in a row. Congratulations to him, even though he's a Met. I don't like the Mets. I like the Braves, but that was pretty cool. Pete Alonso. Glad he didn't do it in Atlanta's park, though. That's a story for another show. Look, let's talk about the big slate on DraftKings on Friday. We always have a big slate on Fridays. Thursday's game between the Yankees and the Red Sox was canceled due to COVID protocols. I would say it's probably more likely than not that happens to a game or two on Friday. You're really going to have to watch the news. We know that not everyone on every single team was in the correct COVID protocols, and I could see a couple games getting canceled. Hopefully it's not after lock, but I'm just kind of trying to look ahead. No news on that whatsoever right now. In the game between the Red Sox and the Yankees got canceled with plenty of time to not cost anyone any money. Even though it wouldn't have because it's a showdown slate, the whole thing would have got canceled. Enough about that. Let's talk about the slate. On Friday, a lot of pitching options, a lot of guys really that I like, but I'm going to key in on one guy, and that's going to be Mr. Robbie Ray versus the Texas Rangers. Robbie Ray has really looked good, especially for Robbie Ray, someone that you probably got late in drafts this year, or the first quarter of the season no one was really playing because it's Robbie Ray. And we've watched him in seasons past, but man, he's put it together with the Toronto Blue Jays. Really looks sharp. 3.13 ERA going into this game against the Texas Rangers, 1.05 whip. In two of his last three games, not two in a row, but two of his last three, he has 10 plus Ks. That's very good. 10 in one, 11 in the other. 32% strikeout on the strikeout rate on the season. That's very good. 6.2 walk rate. Very good, especially for Robbie Ray. 41.6% ground ball rate. Fair. His best walk rate or best BB per nine of his career with only 2.24 walks per nine. That's very good too. And look, he can give up some runs, but what he gives up in runs, he's making back in strikeouts, as we've seen in really his most recent games with those double-digit strikeouts. So he can give up a run or two, which he doesn't do a ton of the time. Like I said, 3.13 ERA, but he can get that back in strikeouts, and that's fine with me. He's not even the highest-priced pitcher. I think he's third on DraftKings, maybe he's fourth, but he feels really safe against the Texas Rangers, who admittedly are decent against lefties. I mean, they're not good. They're not the worst in the league. They're okay, but Robbie Ray is better than these Texas Rangers. I also like in two of his last starts, they were both against Tampa Bay, matter of fact. He's gone 7 innings. So you get those points for going extra innings. You get the points for extra outs. He gets more opportunity to get strikeouts. We know how baseball works. That's why I like Robbie Ray a lot. The Texas Rangers average, I mentioned they were okay against lefties, is .248 for anyone who cares. Middle of the pack, like I said. The last 20 at-bats against these Rangers, the ones that are going to could have a chance to be in the lineup. Not guaranteed. It's not guaranteed Dahl's going to be in the lineup. He probably will. But against Dahl, Gallo, Lau, Falafa, his last 20 at-bats against those 4 Rangers, the only ones he's seen, 13 strikeouts, which is very good. I don't think that came from this year. That's probably last year. It could be this year. I'm not sure. But I know in those last 20 at-bats, 13 strikeouts. That's awesome. The one bat that I'm scared of would be John Hicks, who's probably going to be hitting 5th. Been crushing lefties in the last few weeks before going into the All-Star break. 2 homers in his last 7 at-bats against lefties. Avoid him. Avoid Gallo, which you're probably going to get a strikeout or 2 out of Gallo anyways. And if he gets a home run, maybe it's a solo, so it doesn't kill you. But avoid Gallo, avoid Hicks, and you're probably okay with Robbie Ray. He's going to be my favorite pitcher on the slate, and that's who I'm going to use. Like I said, mentioned Looking at some other guys like Adam Wainwright's okay, but he feels more like a kind of a dart throw than anything else, even though very good at home. Let's talk about the stack that we're going to use. Look, there's a lot of good stacks to use on Friday, too. You've got the Dodgers in Coors with I'm sure, the highest implied team total in Vegas. All the bets aren't out yet, but it's 6.5. They probably even go under that. I mean, the All-Star game was just in Coors. I'm not even sure if the guys who were at the All-Star game had to travel back to Los Angeles. I wonder if they just stayed home or stayed in Colorado. I don't know the answer to that. Obviously, the Dodgers are going to be a good stack, but they're going to be very high priced. And usually the highest priced stacks don't work out. It doesn't matter if they put up 10 runs. If you have a team like the Royals, who's another stack I like, put up 10 runs, Royals are a better value. So Dodgers, Royals, Twins, even though we're not sure who the Twins are going to be going against pitching-wise right now, I've seen conflicting reports, all good stacks. But I'm probably going to lean on Oakland more than the field, I would think. So Oakland A's are going up against Eli Morgan at home. Eli Morgan's a righty. On the season, 5 starts on the season, 8.44 ERA, 1.50 WHIP. Not good. 8.44 ERA in 5 starts is bad. He has given up at least 1 home run in each of his 5 starts. In 3 of those 5 starts, he's giving up multiple home runs. So he hasn't had a start this season without giving up a home run. So what is that, 9 home runs total? 2, 4, 6, 7, 8 home runs total in his 5 starts. Yeah, not good. That's 3.38 home runs per 9. That's really bad. Some of the worst stuff I have seen. I imagine he regresses to being better than that. I mean, he was better before getting called up, but, a different ball game in the major. So, looked bad. And Cleveland Indians aren't really going anywhere this season. They're going to change their name next season, but they're not going anywhere this season as far as the playoffs go, I don't think. So maybe they just let Eli Morgan show what he's got, see if he can dig out of some problems. Maybe they leave him in, get beat up a little bit. I don't know. But I know I like the Oakland bats against him. He also has a really low ground ball percentage, 20.9, which means high fly ball percentage. 21.6% of his fly balls leave the park for a home run. Very, very high number. Bats we're going to be looking at are Matt Olson, fresh off his home run derby at Coors, where he didn't do much, but I think he had 23 home runs the first round. I don't know. Seems pretty good to me. I have 0 at Coors. His last 173 at bats, 11 home runs against righties, hitting 260 ISO, 380 WOBA. Matt Olson, favorite bat. Ramon Laureano should have a big second half. He was really, really great player. I like him a lot. He got injured in the first half of the season, started coming back, swinging good. Last 169 at bats, 9 home runs against righties. That's only 2 less than Matt Olson. That doesn't take into account the injury. It just takes into his last at bats. Hitting 200 ISO, 290 WOBA. Seth Brown really heating up before the All-Star break. Last 150 at bats. 9 homers, same as Laureano, hitting 240 ISO, 300 WOBA. Mark Hanna, last 156 at bats, 7 homers, hitting 380. Jed Lowry's okay after him, 7 homers in his last 166 at bats. Sean Murphy's fine too. Probably just Lowry or Murphy for me. You want to get those top 4: Olson, Laureano, Brown, Hanna, and Lowry or Murphy. Murphy has 5 homers his last 147 at bats. I would really prefer Seth Brown there. Oakland don't strike out a ton. They have the 10th best strikeout rate on the season, 8.59 per game, which sounds high, but when you compare it to everyone else, it is really not. And the 11th best walk rate on the season. So I like that too. I like that Eli Morgan's been terrible, and I think Oakland puts up some runs at lower ownership. Obviously, then like the Dodgers, probably the Twins too. So that's what I'm going with. Oakland A's. Hopefully it pays off. Hopefully the game doesn't get canceled because COVID protocols. One-off bats I'm looking at. Mookie Betts in Coors versus Senzatella. His last 213 at bats, he's hitting 350 WOBA, 200 ISO, and we all know that Coors is a great place for bats. Vegas knows it. I know it. You know it. Everyone that's ever played MLB DFS knows it. He's got good BVP stats too against Senzatella if you're into that. 5 hits in his last 10 at bats against him, and 2 of those were for home runs. And it's Mookie Betts in Coors who was heating up towards the All-Star break. Kind of a cold patch in the middle of the season there, but it's Mookie Betts looking good. And the bats are really going to have to carry the Dodgers, I'm thinking, going into the playoffs. We see if they will. They're not going to win the World Series. Really don't think so. Anyways, next bat, Salvador Perez. Also in the home run derby, going up against Keegan Aiken, the lefty. Sal Perez is one of the best lefty hitters in the league. In his last 82 at-bats against lefties, he's got 10 home runs. That's a lot in 82 at-bats, hitting 450 WOBA, ISO of 380. Sal Perez is going to take one deep on Keegan Aiken. Mark it down. Will Myers is next, and he's cheap. So if you're looking for value, go to Will Myers in Washington against Patrick Corbin, the lefty. BVP stuff, one homer against him. Not really too interested in that. I'm interested in how well Will Myers hits lefties. And admittedly, hasn't hit them as good as he has in the past this year. Hitting .310 his last 49 at-bats against lefties. Only 2 homers, that's okay. But Patrick Corbin's given up 6 home runs in his last 4 starts. Patrick Corbin, not the same Patrick Corbin of old. I think Will Myers gets at him, and he's super cheap. I think he's like 3,300. I don't know. It's on the screen. Max Kepler after that against the Twins. Either going to be going up against Matt Manning or Jose Urena of the Detroit Tigers. Both are bad. So I really hope that he's against Urena, quite honestly, because he's the worst. Don't like that guy, and I don't like the Marlins. Braves fan. Kepler hitting 300, 340 over his last 130 at-bats. That is a large sample size, with 9 homers in that same time span. He's going to be batting 7th, most likely, in this Twins lineup with some powerful bats ahead of him. I like getting the bases loaded for Kepler. I like men on for Kepler, especially batting 7th, and he's only 2.5K, super cheap, way too cheap for Max Kepler, going to be a staple in my lineups, I'm sure. Lastly, big, powerful bat, we all saw it on display, Juan Soto versus Chris Paddack. Like Juan Soto in this matchup. The Nationals dropped 8 earned runs on Chris Paddack. I think 2 starts ago. He only made 2 innings, made it 2 innings in San Diego, I'm pretty sure. And that's a big ballpark. This one's going to be in Washington. Paddack has a 5.38 ERA and 1.35 WHIP on the season. Soto looked really good during the home run derby. I know that's a different ballgame, but he's really good no matter what. And I forget which coach it was that said this, but they said that Juan Soto looked really, really good for the All-Star game. They were asking one of the coaches which guys surprised you at how well prepared they are and how good they are at hitting and all those good things that you want from a baseball player. They said Juan Soto. I don't know if that's important or not. Probably don't want to pay much attention to that. So Juan Soto, Mookie Betts, Sal Perez, Will Myers, Max Kepler. Those are my one-offs that I'm not going to have in my Oakland stack. The bets that I like, Oakland over 4.5 all day. I went on an Oakland rant earlier against Eli Morgan, 8.44 ERA. I'll say it again, Oakland over 4.5 all day. Love that bet. And I'm also going to take the juice with the Dodgers minus 1.5 over the Rockies. I'm taking the baseball spread. I don't do that a lot. I bet it. It's Thursday night. It's going to move up, or at least it's going to be a worse bet this time on Friday night. So Dodgers cover the 1.5 against the Rockies. Like that one a lot. That's it. That's the show. Hope that helps out some. I feel pretty good about those stacks I mentioned earlier. Feel really good about Robbie Ray. I feel great about those bets. So let's go for 100% on Friday night. Help you make some weekend money. Again, go over to prizepicks.com. Use the code MLB when you sign up. Like the video and subscribe to the channel. Also, go over to ftndaily.com and FTN Bets and check out some of my work over there, or you can follow me on Twitter at TenaciousDJones. Thanks for watching. Bye.